Hello, back to another YouTube video. It's been about a year. I've been away from it, having a baby, and we're busy with work, and life just gets in the way, and projects get put on the back burner, but that's life. So I'm starting to work on the Mini. My Z car's basically got a load of electrical gremlins, so I need to do loads of work to that, and it's going to be quite costly, as cars are, modified cars especially. So I'm trying to get back on this little project Mini so that I can make a little bit of money in order to spend on my other car and fund the project basically. So I'll show you where I'm up to on this little project, flipping a Mini basically. So here she is. She's looking a little bit better for herself. I've finished off all the underside. I'll put it up on the ramp and let you have a little look at that in a minute. I've got some standard plastic wheel arches and I've painted them in this little matte black. So it's got a nice stance to it, the car, I think. I've also painted the number plates around in that matte black colour. Put the bumper on. I've mounted the exhaust. And what else have I done to it? Not a great deal really. I want to check whether it's still running all right, because obviously it's been about a year since I've done anything to it, but I'm sure it will. And if it doesn't, then it'll be a good bit of fun trying to get it go again. So there she is, up in all in glory. So under here, I've just tidied a few bits up basically. I've fitted the high-low suspension, which is not the easiest thing to film. You can see that up there, that's the high-low. It's much easier to see on the back, the high-lows. So they're all fitted. It's quite low, it nearly didn't go on the ramp. But that's Minis, don't want them sitting too high, you want a nice stance. So under here I've just tidied up a few bits. The idea with this project was always to try and make it budget friendly, so I can make a little bit of money and spend it on my Z car. So a couple of P-clips just to tidy up the brake lines. Another one on the battery line so it doesn't go on the exhaust clamp. Another one down here. And then I've custom made this exhaust, which I was fairly happy with because I just had a back box that was a bit rusty, so I welded a patch on. And essentially it had been cut off either end of the silencer. So I've made these little angles there, and I've got this little tip on it, and I don't think it looks too bad really. Welded a bar across there, mounted it here, and riven up through the seat pan there on this little clamp. So that's the underside of the car finished off really. Now it's all just these little bits that take the longest time. So that's essentially all these little brackets fitting the grille. I've just painted and put the bonnet catch on. Everything just takes time. So next thing I'd like to do is see whether I can still get it running, just to make sure everything's mechanically sound. So let's get it back down, see if it'll turn over. I've had the battery charging, so see where that leaves us. So see if it turns over first of all. Okay, I know the fuel in it's going to be old, so try a bit WD-40 to see if it'll fire. Okay, so that's good. We know it's got spark, because if it didn't fire, then we know it's not got any spark. So I'm just going to show you what to do if it doesn't burp like that. then you know you've got no spark. So down here, distributor, obviously that's responsible for your spark. This is a little flick on cap, which is perfect. Some of them have little screws, but those little caps just come off. This isn't an electronic distributor. This is the old points and condenser style one. So somewhat easier really, because you can fault find it. So first thing I'll do is take a look at that. Okay, that's nice and clean. What you could do is get a little bit of sandpaper, just clean the edges up on that. Locate that back with that little lug inside with that lug there. It'll only go on one direction. Okay, so that's back on. These things here, this is like a square cam, and as that turns round, it basically opens and closes these points, and as they close they create a spark, and the rotor arm goes round, sends up each one of the HT leads. So if you have a companion to turn over the engine, you should see a small spark at those points there, at those contacts. If you don't, take that flathead screw out and remove that assembly. Get a small piece of sandpaper and clean between the contacts. Put it back together, try again. Hopefully you should have spark then. If you still don't after that, then you might have to look into it a bit further and divulge why that isn't. Might be a wiring issue. And just to confirm you're getting spark at the spark plug, now you know you've got it coming out the distributor. Take off your cap, remove your spark plug and lay it against the engine, so earth it. So take it out, plug it back into the HT lead and leave it lying loose, earthing itself to the engine. Turn over the engine and you should see the spark plug sparking. Great, you know that the whole ignition system is then working as it should. You put that back into your engine then, that should fire, because essentially there's only a few reasons why it won't. If it's not getting spark, it won't fire. If it's not getting fuel, it won't fire. So we know it's getting fuel because we just put some WD-40 in it and it fired. If it didn't, then you'd be looking at spark. So let's put that back on, see whether we can get it to run for any length of time. Okay. So I don't think it's getting anything from the fuel pump. It should be pulling fuel through. So I'm going to whip off the hose and see what comes out when I turn it over. I basically just remove the clamp and fuel pipe, pull that off, have a little look. If I turn it over and put a rag over the end, that should be spurting fuel out of there. Okay, big bit came out, so that's definitely pumping fuel out. Put that back on. Perfect, I'll be back with you shortly. So we ended up having a bit of an issue there. Fuel lines are corroded, fuel was leaking everywhere. So I've had to replace the fuel lines from the mechanical fuel pump at the back of the block right up to the carb. There's a little metal link pipe behind the exhaust. So I've replaced the perished hoses both ends. And then I looked at the colour of the stuff that was coming out of the end of it, and it was horrible. I don't know how old that fuel is, probably more than a year old, because I don't think I put much in it when I got it running last year. So I ended up draining the fuel tank, but let's have a look at the colour of the fuel that came out of it. Yeah, I mean, unlead is basically clear, and that definitely isn't. So drain the fuel tank, and I'm gonna take you along and see if it'll start now. There we go. I might try and put a bit of fuel directly down the carbs and see if that'll spark it into life. So it'll only run when I'm putting fuel to it. I'm not sure what's going on here. I might have to have a think and give me a scratch and figure it out. See what's going on with this thing. I didn't touch anything that died on its own, so why is that sparking into life and then dying? I've been having a little filler with the fuel mixture as well. Screw on the back left, I'll show you where it is. On your carb here, obviously this is your fuel pipe. This is what I pulled off before, basically to pull that off, just like so. Fuel came out, you know it's getting fuel. That's what I did before. But just underneath that, I'll move that so you can see. And that little, you see there, you put a small Phillips screwdriver into that gap there, you'll feel it locate into a screw. So that's your fuel mixture screw. So I've wound it out half a turn, which will make it leaner. The more it goes in, the richer it gets. So didn't really like it there, so I'm gonna put it back quarter and then another quarter. So that's back where it was. So I'll try that again, see what it does. I'm thinking this is a fueling issue in my mind, because if it's, if it's starting firing and then cutting out, it must be getting fuel. The timing must be right. I'm not saying the timing's perfect, but it must be somewhat right. The choke's out. See what goes with that. Try and give it a bit. Well, that was positive, so I'm going to wind that in a little bit more, maybe another half a turn, or half, one full turn in now. Better. I took it off choke as soon as it died straight away. Try another half. So I'm turning this richer every time. Another half in. Give it some choke, but it should be warm now. More progress. If I turned up the idle a little bit, I'll show you where the idle screw is if you don't know. Idle screw is that one there, right there, and as you screw that in, basically you'll see the screw going down and basically pushing the throttle down. So I done that and it did idle for a sec, so let's see what it's doing now. I'm just going to turn it up a touch more. so great.